Hello? Can anyone around here speak basketball?
There it is.
It's the Confederacy of Dunks Basketball Podcast.
Hello, bonjour. It's a hot one. How's it going, Matt?
Good. Loving the heat while I'm inside with the air. So
Yeah, I'm loving the heat. This is your host, Freddie Rivas.
Yeah.
This podcast is the Confederacy of Dunks Basketball Podcast. Yeah, as I said, I am the host, Freddie Rivas, and
I'm the producer, Matt Duncan.
that's right. And Matt, if people want to find this pod, if they want to listen to it, if they want to share it, you know, if they're going to the cottage and they want to listen to where they're chasing fish, you know what I mean, or whatever.
You want to listen to it on the boat? Yeah.
Sure, yeah. Where can they find it?
You can go to iTunes or Stitcher or Player FM. Lots of great podcatchers. Whatever one's your favorite, download it. You can go to dunkspodcast.com. We've got everything there. All the links and fun to Instagram and Twitter. Beautiful. And yeah, that's pretty much it, right?
Yeah, and I think we're starting to dominate YouTube.
Yeah, we're huge on YouTube. We're stuck at 19 subscribers, but the money is piling in, so it doesn't really matter.
It's actually sick that the monetization starts that low.
That low, yeah.
And yeah,
it's crazy.
Just keeps coming.
We've both quit our day jobs, and that's pretty much what we do.
Cool. No worries. That's not true. Help us in any way. Help us in any way. We're trapped.
Feel free to subscribe.
Okay, but let's get talking basketball and let's bring these guests on.
Sure.
First guest, I think I just heard something in his house.
Yeah.
Last name pronounced Beer.
Yeah.
He's an actor, a comedian, a writer. He's awesome. We were playing basketball together last night. Give it up at home for Paul Beer.
What you guys heard was my 2-year-old son Henry, and he is watching Muppets Take Manhattan. So you may hear some Miss Piggy.
Nice.
You may hear Kermit. Right now, Kermit is gazing over the Manhattan skyline, determined to get the gang back together to put a show on.
That's hilarious because I was just at an audition with Paul, and his son was there, and he looked to me and said he's watching Muppets in Manhattan.
Okay, check this out. I was at an audition with Paul at 9 a.m. Seriously.
Muppets again?
Not Muppets.
Oh.
I believe Henry was watching, he just turned to me and said the alphabet.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So,
Yeah, he's
I don't know what that was.
Just a cool YouTube video, I'm sure.
Yeah. So Paul's really getting a lot done with his son today.
Yeah.
A lot of screen time.
Cool.
It's good for them, right?
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Like, I think like the best way to, like raise a good kid is like when you're on the TTC, just give them like a tablet and like,
For sure.
they can go to
2 tablets if possible.
Yeah, for sure. Well, yeah, thanks for being on, buddy.
Oh, my absolute pleasure. Just one quick note about last night. We played basketball together, Freddie and I played abominably. I had taken a few weeks off, and so I was a little bit rusty. But I'm looking forward to getting playing back into shape.
I will not confirm nor deny.
You can absolutely confirm
that Paul was rusty. No, Paul's big, and he was banging around, intimidating folks.
Oh wow!
Yeah, he broke a window
Like a young Ron Artest.
Yeah, it was nasty.
Not so young. I'm probably only a couple years younger than Ron Artest.
That's true.
Let's bring on guest number 2, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
I've known him forever. He's a hilarious comedian, sketch comedian, writer. Currently, he's producing for Sportsnet, Jay and Dan. Give it up at home for Brendan Halloran. You each get a song, and yours is Skrillex.
Mine took me very much by surprise. It was not as talk showy as Paul's was. Yeah, great. Thanks for having me.
Okay, I thought I was gonna mess up that intro so hard.
I mean, you did mess it up.
I did. But okay, how did I mess it up?
We're not Jay and Dan. We're not on Sportsnet. We are on GSN.
Oh man.
my God.
I'm terrible.
I wasn't sure if you guys did corrections at the end.
No. There's no corrections at all. It's basically just a shame parade for me.
Wow.
Maybe my biggest one, besides Derek last week, was Graham K. I said he was on. What did I say? Was it the Colbert Report?
Yeah. You said
he was on the.
Yeah, he said he was on the Colbert Report, and he was on Conan. Yeah, and he's like, Colbert Report doesn't even have comedians on it.
Yeah, they don't do stand-ups.
Oh man,
I gotta write this shit down for you.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna write it down.
Maybe that's my job. Is that my job to write this shit?
Step it up. Fuck, man.
Okay.
We have a segment on Jay and Dan called You Blew It. It's at the end of the show where basically we talk about all of the mistakes that were made during the show. You guys could steal that idea, essentially.
Honestly, we're down.
Just go like,
me and Matt are down to steal some ideas.
Yeah.
Oh God. Okay, let's get rolling here. Matt, is there anything you wanna bust out on me before we start talking Raptors?
No.
Oh, no surprises.
Oh,
week.
No. Yeah, no.
That's okay.
Okay.
Guys,
This is a calm week.
I have breaking news actually.
Oh.
Breaking. This is I can't believe you haven't jumped on this.
Oh my God. Is there breaking news?
No, what is it?
Breaking NBA news. Space Jam 2 has a new director.
Oh.
Did you hear about this? This just dropped today.
Who's the director?
Malcolm D. Lee is taking over for Terrence Nance. Malcolm D. Lee, who directed Girls Trip at Night School.
Huge.
Wow. Big gig.
yeah.
Big gig for Mike. But no.
It's so weird for LeBron to replace a coach, huh?
Yeah, I know.
So true.
Yeah.
Well, Paul, thanks for the breaking news. Everyone was coming here for that.
Happy to help.
Okay, Maddie, would you hit me with that Raptor sting?
Lindsane in the membrane, Lindsane in the brain, Lindsane in the membrane, Lindsane in the brain.
Okay, Matt's feeling it.
That was in honor of Brandon's show that he's going to be doing it just for laughs for Weird Al karaoke. So
Nice.
Pick the Lindsane.
Great. Yeah, we'll be plugging that later for sure. And thank you for plugging your old sting because I don't even know if Lynn is a Raptor anymore.
No, he's not.
So you're getting some mileage out of that. And,
Yeah.
and you clearly put some hard
We
work.
threw some of the old sound effects into the sinkhole. It's filled up now. Maybe there's a few more we can add later.
Yeah.
But let's talk some raps.
Okay, Brendo, I want to start with you here.
Okay.
And a fully acceptable answer to this question is it's the summer league and I don't care. But I feel like we all care a little bit, and it's especially with this amazing pipeline the Raptors have had for the past couple of years with with Fred and Siakam and Wright kind of like dominating the dominating in Vegas and Orlando, and then translating that to the 905, and then actually translating that to being a meaningful player on a finals or a championship team. I think that's probably too high of a bar for some of these guys, but give me a ranking of who you think, or like kind of like an impact ranking of the major players for us in the summer, which is Chris Boucher, Terrence Davis, Hernandez, and is that pronounced Duan Hernandez?
No, it's Duan. I've heard him say Duan.
Okay, sorry, Duan
Duan.
Hernandez.
Yeah.
Jordan Lloyd and Malcolm Miller.
Okay, so yeah, I will be quite frank. I've had Summer League on the TVs at work every night, and I've watched like 3 seconds of it, maybe.
Yeah. It's good noise.
Yeah, like these are all like, if one of these guys can work out, then great, cool. I think probably the guy we would like the most to work out is like a Chris Boucher, because he plays the center position.
Yeah.
And that is a place where we're going to need to deal from potentially.
Right.
So if he could come in and put a little bit more muscle on that frame of his.
My God.
And
that's his main note as a player. Do you know he's 26 though?
Oh, is he?
He's 26 years old.
But Siakam's like 25.
Yeah, he's
right?
like 24, 25. So yeah, it can happen. And I think Boucher still started late.
Right. And I'm not like looking for any of these dudes to come in and be like impact starters who are going to be like a Pascal who's like, oh, this guy has like star breakout potential.
Right.
But if Boucher could come in and be like a reliable, like, 16, 17, 18 minute type backup center, then all of a sudden now we can deal like a Ibaka or we can deal a Gasol. So I just feel like
it kind of like bolsters that depth.
Yeah, definitely. And like, he's had, he was the G League MVP.
He was the he was the G League MVP, G League Defensive Player of the Year, and then I don't know what Summer League means, but he was named second all team in the Summer League. Like he's proven that he's better. He's too good for the G League and the Summer League.
Yeah, it's just whether or not he can make that jump and translate it to at least being like a serviceable backup for us.
Yeah,
which would be fantastic. I mean, these other guys I'm not as worried about because. I'm not super worried about who takes over the guard positions from Kyle when Kyle eventually probably gets dealt or just walks away. It's really tough to know which guy you even want to succeed the most because I don't really know what this team's going to look like in February anyways.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be, it could be like a dramatic year as far as like personnel changes. And I think also it could be like a prep year for a lot of these guys. Because, it might make the most sense for Masai to just let these contracts expire and have like oodles of money in the offseason, especially if the trades are coming in the form of like taking on other bad salary, which Masai obviously is not going to do. Or if people are just throwing like second round picks that don't, offer too much value. But I think, kind of to your point, Boucher is a guy that I don't know if he keeps getting listed as a center, but he's so thin. And I just don't know if he's going to be able to rebound. Like, I feel like he has to play next to like Ibaka at center or Mark at center because or maybe there's something with him and Pascal, but he seems like a help block guy. Like he can shoot the three. He can guard the wing pretty well. So he's definitely one of these like fluid bigs, but man, even a guy like Greg Monroe, I could see really, really pushing Boucher around.
Definitely. And especially like if we are like going to the playoffs, we need someone to guard Embiid. And
Boucher's not the guy.
It ain't going to be Boucher.
No.
And like a front court with like him, OG and Siakam, I go like, oh, geez, I don't know who's rebounding here.
Yeah.
Necessarily.
Paul, what are you thinking about Boucher, Davis, Hernandez, Lloyd, Miller? You don't have to rank them, but where are you at as far as them being like potential contributors? Even to the 905, like a guy like Hernandez might not even come up the whole year.
Well, exactly. Like I don't know how much Hernandez may figure into things other than as a potential trade piece, sort of further on down the line. But Boucher being named to second team in the summer, I mean, for whatever that's worth, is a really good sign. And I think that type of being that sort of in-betweener, like big but can shoot the three, can play away from the basket, is it's sort of where the league is going. So I think it's exciting. I mean, I don't think it's a complete game changer, but I'm looking forward to seeing him on the 905 and sort of seeing how that develops. I'm looking forward to becoming like, I want to become the Drake of the 905. Is that spot open? Like
the Drake for the 905? Pretty sure that's Chaclair, sir.
Shit.
No, please be the Drake of the 905, which I think like also involves you like slowly growing your rap career.
I don't think Ryerson has a Drake yet. You could be the Drake of Ryerson if you wanted to.
Start a bit.
Like physically, that's closer to where I am now. So that may help in terms of commute.
Yeah, sorry. I can literally just only now think about Paul trying to like administratively work his way into being like the Drake of Ryerson. Like I'm picturing you meeting with like the president of Ryerson and just like kind of calmly being like, listen, I think this is something you need. And I think I have a lot of sway. Players like me.
Ambassador, right.
You'd be like
here.
you'd be like the global dean of Ryerson basketball.
The global dean. I like that.
But yeah, no, in terms of physicality, like I think that he would complement, the pieces that we have. And again, I just think that type of the sort of, again, if he could put on a little bit more weight, be able to, play down low and off the block a little bit more, I think that could be, fantastic. As for the other guys, I can't honestly speak with any authority on the rest of them, but
right.
I think Boucher is a real high point.
So I did watch a little bit of summer league, but it's really hard to read with like such a lack of a system, especially for a guy like Hernandez, who did seem to get better as the games went along. There's just not really like a lot of good plays run for him, and it's kind of like it's just guard dominant. Like there's not a lot of good playmaking, but I feel like you can kind of get a good read of just basic decision making and shooting. And right. I don't think he should be overhyped or anything like that, but I did like Terrence Davis quite a bit. He's got the similar bet on yourself story as Fred, and he kind of has that DeLon frame. He's not as big. He's 6'4", but he can shoot the three. He can dunk. He can slash.
He went undrafted, right?
He went. Yeah, he was totally undrafted, and then played one game with the. I mean, I'm sure the Raptors had their eye on him, but he played one game with I think it was Denver. The Denver Summer League team, and basically Bobby Webster, Matt, and Masai just went out and signed him to
Aging Bobby Webster.
Okay. I thought I threw you a bone, let's keep it subtle.
I was really shocked. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Bust up my train of thought. You know what I mean?
That's what Bobby does, baby.
But I think Jordan Lloyd and Davis are both going to be kind of like good enough to be the third point guard, aka not play most nights, but in certain scenarios be able to muster a 10-minute stretch. That's not that bad. I think Davis particularly has enough athleticism to just get hot in a game and be and catch an alley-oop and kind of just be a productive guy. But
right.
Miller's like this knockdown shooter on the Raptors 905, but he just doesn't seem to have anything else in his game. Like, when Danny Green would get it, and he'd be covered too closely, and then just not be able to do anything with the ball. Like he couldn't dribble, he couldn't put on the floor. Not even really a good passer.
Right. Yeah.
Miller, I see a lot of that from Miller, where if it's not a wide open three, which he's good at as far as percentage, he can't do anything. So I think he needs more of a game. But I think Boucher is definitely the guy to watch. I feel like it's kind of like try something now if you believe in Boucher, or what are you doing with a guy that has that much upside?
Right. And with Summer League, it's always hard to picture of how these guys are going to be, because I'm looking at his stats right now, and Boucher averaged 23 points and almost 10 rebounds a game, and you're like, well, that's in 30 minutes a game, and you're like, that's incredible, but it's Summer League, so you have to kind of temper some expectations.
And he had similarly outrageous numbers for the Raptors 905. Okay, let's stick with you, Paul. For my next question. And, feel free to take this in whatever direction you want. But, Raptors, I said this on the pod last week, but I feel like the whole Kawhi situation was kind of like American exceptionalism versus Canadian inferiority. It's like we're so oh God, and they were so you suck. And both sides kind of lost. I feel like it just kind of had a bit of an ugly feel. But we won the championship. We lost Kawhi. Masai couldn't keep Kawhi. He did get a meeting. Drake got a meeting too. Danny left for more money. Also Gasol opted in, and there's $25 million reasons why he did that. But also, he probably could have taken a 2-year, 3-year contract worth more than the value of $25 million over the course of the year. So, it's not nothing. And anyways, I just feel like Raptors fans were, as Canadians and as Torontonians, like in this weird place, we're always obsessed with our reputation. So where do you think the Raptors' reputation league wide and just in general is right now?
Well, you're right that we're obsessed with perception, and that we're obsessed as Torontonians are obsessed with how we're seen, especially through the eyes of Americans, and that is like a pathetic part of our sort of psyche, but it's very much a part of it. And winning the championship makes a huge difference in that can never be taken away. That can never be discounted. As much as there may be talk about an asterisk or whatever it is, I want to put an asterisk next to that asterisk.
Ooh, I like that. In terms of every you play the team that you're faced with, and every team deals with injuries, etc. Like it's almost nothing worth talking about. But I think that Toronto had for a long time been a place that players enjoyed being the visitor to, right?
Sometimes to their detriment. In terms of going out and finally being semi-anonymous or whatever else. And I honestly believe that players can look at Toronto and see the front office, see what Kawhi was able to do, see the sort of seriousness of the organization, and see it as a potential destination. That being said, I'm absolutely certain no Lakers fan thinks this way. No Lakers fan is worried about what people in Toronto think about Los Angeles. Do you know what I mean? No one in New York is worried about what anyone else. So there's a built-in position of as you said, inferiority that comes with it. That being said, I think that fans and the NBA in general can look at Jurassic Park, can look at that parade, which I think on the ground, and you, Freddie, absolutely can attest to the on the ground.
Yes, I can.
Nature of that as being very, very mixed. The experience being very, very. I don't know your feelings, but I can imagine they're being ambivalent about the actual on the ground experience. However, if we're talking about perception, and we're talking about people look and they see 2 million plus people on the ground, it
was pretty amazing,
taking over the city. Celebrating this, and that is something that not only can never be taken away, but something that I think is going to ring as a endorsement of Toronto. And also we have Masai. Like Masai is the sort of unheralded, MVP coming out of this whole thing.
Oh yeah, no, I think that's kind of a great point, because part of what I'm getting at here, and I'll turn it to you, Brendan, for this, is like, how is whatever our reputation, wherever it's at right now, how does that translate into the meetings Masai takes, the future of the Raptors? Like, does he have cachet, or, is it just kind of like, hey, like superstars are all want to be in California? Like that's it.
Yeah, I think that if he takes a meeting, it's I have made these, like, look, I have a proven track record, and I think I'm good. He's like, he probably sits in a meeting and he goes, listen, I'm fucking sick.
Yeah, he is.
I'm the dopest president there is. Bobby Webster is an amazing GM. We have all of these resources for you here. You've seen what happens when somebody buys in and they commit 100%.
Right.
And that could be you too. We would love for that to be you. And that's a pretty appealing sales pitch.
You just sold me. That's what I want to hear.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I was like hoping for that a little bit because it's like we just bowled a perfect game, and yeah, we like then the bowling arena got destroyed.
Yeah,
but we bowled.
The manager's still there though.
Yes,
the lanes are still there.
Yes,
yeah, I wanted to touch on something that Paul said too about like the perception of like. Because this bothers me so much, the perception of like the U.S. media towards Toronto and us not liking that perception. And just PSA, everyone, please chill out.
Right.
I don't think that a lot of Canadians are used to the U.S. media. So like I've worked at TSN for a bit, but before that I was working at Fox Sports.
Right.
And I was in LA and I was working alongside all of these like opiniontainment shows.
Yeah.
So when we have like a TSN like Sports Center here, we're basically just reporting news. Like these are facts, and these are like very strong inferences that you can base off these facts.
Right.
But these guys down there, like your guys like Colin Coward and like Skip Bayless and stuff,
Totally.
they fill 3 hours a
yeah.
day.
Yeah.
So they have to have a take about something. And Canada, just for whatever reason in the States, people don't even know where Toronto is on a map.
Yeah.
And that is not an exaggeration to say it. They literally do not know how close it is to New York via proximity. They have no clue.
Right.
So it just doesn't get considered in that way. So the easy take that you can like riff on for a while is you go like, well, Stars leave and it's Canada, it's different, it's cold, and it's like
Right.
it's cold in the States, it's cold in all of these other places, and they have to
cold in
fill this
Minnesota,
time.
yeah.
They have to fill the time. There has to be a take always. And so that's just what happens. And if you're in the States, you're just used to it. You just glaze over. But here we're like, wait a minute, I can't believe somebody said something negative because we don't say anything negative on our television. So everyone just please chill out. Stars leave Toronto. Guess what? Stars leave everywhere. You know how many Stars left teams this year? Stars leave Golden State.
It's a great point.
Stars leave
OKC?
OKC. Stars don't.
Oh, the OKC. Yeah.
Yeah. So like everyone just, our reputation is fine. The Raptors are a good franchise. We're in good hands.
Oh my
Take
God.
a breath. We're going to be cool, everyone.
It's like I just like got a bloody nose and Brendan just like picked me up, tilted me back, plugged my nose, and he's like, buddy, I got
Get back
you.
out there.
Yeah, get back out. I don't know where my analogy was going because it was a mixture of like being sick and having a bloody nose, but I feel taken care of. Okay, Brendan, let's stick with you for this next one. This is just kind of a fun thing. I think so much of the hypotheticals around the Raptors are what do they do with these 3 bloated contracts?
Right.
With Gasol, Ibaka, and Lowry. But, I think the East is still like remarkably weak. And I think there's, I think the Raptors are a playoff lock, and B, potentially a team that's going to win quite a lot of games. So I think it might end up being like more advantageous to acquire somebody if you think they are good short-term and long-term. Anyways, all that said, I think there's a lot of hypotheticals around, trading our assets away. But I think Masai just doesn't really operate from a point of weakness. Like I don't think Masai is interested in that. So the point of that, the point of all of this is to say, what is a hypothetical trade that could make the Raptors better this year versus the common one, which would make them worse?
Yeah, I think so. I think that taking back money is not that big of a deal.
Right.
Because I don't envision a scenario where in 2021 we're signing 2 supermax or like
Right.
2 max free agents. I just don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
So I think that you can take back some like reasonable money. I don't see a move that's like, I don't see like a Kawhi swing. Hey,
Nothing like that out there for sure.
they're just the landscape has changed too much. All of the Stars have changed teams already. So I think that you have to just like incrementally get better.
Right.
And I think that this team as constructed can be a 1 through 4 seed in the East.
Yeah,
next year
I
and
have
get
them
home
as
court.
third.
Yeah,
in my head.
I think that's really a reasonable expectation.
Yeah.
So it's like, but you also don't want just three dudes walking away. And sure, you retain the cap space, but there aren't really any free agents next year.
Right.
And then you're just taking on money to hopefully acquire assets.
Right.
So like one trade rumor that I liked quite a bit actually was like you trade Gasol for Gordon Hayward straight up. And I was like, that's kind of interesting because like Boston,
it would be dependent on the year Hayward's having, I think.
Yeah. Like I think
he should be getting better.
He's got 2 years left on his contract. So you still get out of it by 2021. And you take him on as a reclamation project. I mean, like when Paul George injured his leg, it took him like a full season back before he even got back to Paul George levels. So you're betting on the fact that, you know, like a Kawhi type situation, that you can put him in a new environment. You can surround him with the best medical team. And you can get more out of that player than Boston did. Then Boston feels like, hey, we got our guy who can guard Embiid because we feel like we're going to the Eastern Conference Finals or whatever.
Right.
And you get off all of Gasol's money and you get somebody back in, but you get him for next year and you get him for the year after. And he potentially adds shooting. He potentially, he can slash and, he just pads out our team. That's like the only trade scenario I've heard that I'm like, yeah, that actually is kind of interesting. Because like otherwise you got to look like, does Karl Anthony Towns go like, I don't really want to be here anymore or something, and then you maybe try to like put, like there's not a lot of like all the top guys are spoken for. There's maybe another level of like disgruntled dude that you can maybe get, but for the most part, I don't think Masai is going to bottom out. I think staying relevant is like the new cool thing to do. In the NBA, usually it was just like be as bad as possible for as long as possible. But now I think like, being one of those teams that's in there that still has cap flexibility to and then just seizing on a moment when you can. But like, it's so hard to predict what the NBA will even look like in February. Like, as I said before, like, I don't know. Everything changes so quickly. There could be a couple guys in play by then. Who knows?
Right. Yeah, no, I think that's kind of where I was at too, because as far as like money, that was a great isolated sound.
Yeah.
The Muppets just broke up.
That was great. It's going to be one of those three contracts.
It's the Muppet Babies portion of Muppet Take Manhattan, FYI, at the end. Nice. It's the Muppet Baby portion. Okay. Let's keep everyone up to date.
I was going to throw something out there with Beal, but I feel like the Beal thing isn't right because he hasn't yet signed that new contract, I don't think. So I also feel like you'd really want someone like that to be bought in. Like you don't want to bring him over and then maybe he's emerging and like demands a trade or something like that. But I do think player wise, personnel wise, he's a volume scorer at the guard spot that I think could work well with like, OG Siakam long term in a best case scenario.
Yeah, I think he would be good, but I don't think that he's a UFA 2021.
Yeah, exactly. I want someone on a contract. That's why I think Hayward's pretty clever. I looked at Wiggins' contract, but
no, don't look at Wiggins' contract.
It's just too much. Yeah. It's 2021, 29 mil, 21-22, he's 31 mil.
Oh my God.
And 22-23, he's 33. Oof. So yeah, it's like
let's do it.
Rigging for Wiggins,
home.
Baby.
Bring him home.
Paul, do you have a weird hypothetical?
I like the idea of Hayward because I can see I can see Gasol's performance against the Sixers as Brendan was saying as being like an audition. If there's another team that's like, oh, you know what, this could be the piece that we're looking for,
and the Bucks, by the way.
Right? Yes, exactly. If the Bucks are looking to match up with the Sixers, sort of in January, February. Wasn't Andre Drummond spoken of as a potential trade for Gasol back before the Raptors did it, the Pistons?
I'm not sure. I remember way back in the day, it was Andre Drummond JV rumors for about a year and a half.
Right.
And there was that famous moment where Masai said, "You're better. You're better than Andre" to JV.
Yeah. I still believe that to be true, but I mean, I think that in January, February, maybe the landscape has just changed so much that an Andre Drummond piece would make sense. Or,
you know what?
Or Haywood.
Andre's a really interesting one. So I'm looking at his contract right now. So he's on his final year. In 1920. Which is this season coming up. He's 27, and then the next year he's 28. So if the Pistons were so bad that they were wanting to shed salary, you could do a straight up Gasol for Drummond. Like if the Pistons were wanting to move on from Drummond long term and kind of like rebuild, that's a way for them to that's a very easy salary dump for them. And he's also
that's a lot,
young.
That's a lot of ifs, but
yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying that's a lot of ifs. But I do think that could I could envision a scenario where that happens.
Well, let's hope that once the season starts, we're having fun with trade options to get better, and not like, oh no, this is bad.
Yeah, we gotta shed all these guys.
As optimistic as I am, I'm aware that there is a potential for some kind of like cataclysmic type season. Like I think the potential's there. Like we're a Lowry injury away, or Gasol injury away from being like, the Raptors are 500. You know what I mean? Someone's not developing as they should. So I am really optimistic, and I think the East is still very. There's just no team for me, anyways, beyond Milwaukee and Philly that represents like any serious upside. Like most teams have a pretty glaring hole at some place. Boston has a front court of Hayward and Cantor, which is just downright bad. And the
Pacers will be good though.
Pacers are the team that I think, if we were surprised and it was like, oh, there's a top tier and the Raptors aren't in it, I feel like the Pacers would be the team in that tier. It would be like, oh, Brogdon and Oladipo work well, and then
if they gel,
Turner and Sabonis are also working well, and then they're all young, and I like Nate McMillan as a coach, and I think the Pacers have that.
I think they're top 4 probably. I mean, they were last year without Brogdon, right?
Totally. Cool. Matt, you got any hypotheticals before we move on, or what?
About the Raps?
Yeah.
Yes.
No. How about the Leafs?
Yeah. I think you could have said no.
I guess I could have said no. I think that hypothetically, here's my hypothesis.
Okay.
About the Raptors.
Why don't you stall a bit?
I do think that everything's going to be fine.
Okay. That your hypothetical is everything's going to be fine?
Everything's going to be fine. Lowry's going to have a career year. Ibaka as well. They're all going to be like, look at these old guys. They're playing so great. And, we're at least going to the conference finals. Cheers.
Okay. Oh, whoa, double cheers. Okay. I think that's going to take us to our NBA sting. Would you give me that, Matty?
There's a new NBA champion, and it's a team from Toronto, Canada. We, the North, are now we, the champions. The Raptors, the 2019 NBA champs.
Paul just had a big sip of coffee.
No, I had a big sip of that call. I love hearing that hard T. That second Toronto. It's a team from Toronto,
Canada.
I don't even think I have not heard that Mike Breen call for some reason. I've only heard the Devlin one. And I was listening to that, and I was like, wow, this is pretty underwhelming. This is pretty underwhelming. The championship call.
The Devlin one or that one?
No, the Breen one.
Yeah, you should kind of be going wild.
Yeah.
The best call for us, in my opinion, is the shot.
Kevin Harlan, for sure.
It's so real, and he's so into it. And the other one is the Lowry dump pass to Kawhi where he dunked on
Kawhi, yeah.
I forget what the announcer says, but they just anytime any announcer lets their emotion just take over, I'm into it. That's why I once named a rec league basketball team No Regard for Human Life. Because one time LeBron dunked over Garnett and was it Mike Breen? No.
Did he say that?
Was it Mike Green or was it? Oh shoot, I can't remember who it is.
Listen, I'm going to figure that out by the end of the pod.
I think it was Harlan.
It was Harlan. It was Harlan for sure.
Yeah,
for sure, Kevin Harlan.
Yeah, I did like a pilot for like a sports-based comedy show, like whatever 10 years ago or whatever, and literally put that. I also put that clip into the into like the sting
insane.
for the show.
It's an insane.
It's an insane thing to say. Like we laugh about it now and go like, of course, yes, no regard for human life. But like at the time, you're like, what are you even talking about, man?
It's like he had decided he was an alien. He accepted he was an alien, and then also he moved on. Like in this like micro time before he like thought it and spoke it, that LeBron was a conquering alien who also didn't have pity for the humans on Earth.
That's the plot of
whatsoever.
Space Jam 2.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. What were you saying, Paul?
Oh, I was saying that. Yeah, that he was. Yeah, no regard. No regard for human.
You have no regard for his
serial
life, I
killer.
think, right?
Kevin Harlan. I love Kevin Harlan.
Paul, let's get going on some NBA stuff here. Let me just open it up and see what your like general takes are. I phrased the question, "Who won the trade?" But just tell me your thoughts on the Russ CP3 trade.
All right, easy, Bill Simmons with the who won what. But
I know I got to stop.
Who won the scene? Between the CP3 and I don't think it's done yet, right? Or is Chris Paul not? Aren't they talking about moving him to the Heat? Is that not a potential?
I was seeing that the Heat are actually not that interested.
Yeah.
That reports of that are maybe a little overblown.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think that's. Hold on, my son is offering his own takes.
Well,
here, look, I think that a Houston starting five that's Westbrook, Harden, Capella, Tucker, and
Gordon, I guess.
Gordon.
Yeah.
That's a really good starting five. Like,
yeah,
that sounds amazing to me. So I know that OKC has picks until the heat death of the universe. But I think that Houston's going to be really, really good next season, assuming that this sort of nucleus stays as it is.
And so I'll stick with you for a sec, Paul. What do you think about this idea that teams like Houston and both LA teams are really just trading their picks with recklessness? Like, is that going to hurt them? Knowing we're approaching this weird double draft where high school players are going to be back in the NBA, and you might have a draft where there's two Zions.
Exactly.
And none of these teams are going to be in that, right? So,
yeah. Well, I'm surprised that they're playing around with picks that extend into that potential double cohort draft.
Right.
I thought that they would want to hold those a little bit closer. In the event that if they had a top 10 pick, or even. Even a 15 pick could be so much more valuable than in any other given year, because as you said, there could be just double the amount of talent coming in at a younger age. But I think that they're, the Clippers, the OKC and of the world are looking to win. Well, I mean, OKC is looking to rebuild, I guess, but they're looking to win now. The Clippers are looking to okay, let's mortgage those potential future for the here and now. So I'm a bit surprised that they're dealing with those quite as freely as they are, but at the same time, look, we could all die tomorrow, right?
Cheers. Cheers, Paul. Wow. Okay, Brendan.
Yeah.
Just I want you to touch on OKC for a second here. So, am I the only one that's a little bit kind of not perplexed, because I guess I understand why a guy like Paul George, saying, hey, I don't want to play here anymore, kind of like forces your hand. And then, therefore you have to trade Russ as well because he wants to compete. But Sam Presti, he traded Ray Allen, got all these picks with Seattle. Obviously Durant, drafted all these MVPs and Ibaka and all these players, and then kind of slowly lost them all. Now it seems like they're all the way back there, and they're looking forward to hopefully the same thing. But really, are they gonna could anyone assume that they would draft that well again? And then if they did draft that well, how are they going to keep the players this time? So, if you're thinking about this trade from OKC's perspective, isn't it a loss?
But I think that the ebb and flow is win-loss, right? Like they had a window, the window they didn't win. They didn't want to pay into the tax, so they had to get rid of Harden. And if you're not willing to spend into the tax to retain your players, then no, you're not really going to end up signing them.
Especially as a small market.
Yeah, but of course, if you're going to bottom out, they still have some nice players there. Like Gilgeous-Alexander is really interesting. And now they have 1,000 picks. And even if they don't end up using these picks, you flip these picks for more assets and you just try to continually get better.
And boy, oh boy, do they have a lot of picks.
Yeah.
And pick swaps.
Yeah.
I think they have
they have 15 in 7 years or something like that.
Something
15
insane.
first round picks in the next 6 or 7 years, too many.
Is that I heard one stat where it's they have 8 picks in the next 7 next 7 drafts, not including their own.
Yeah,
and they have all their own picks.
You could tell me any of that, and I would be sure, that's true.
Yeah.
There are just an incredible amount of picks, and so I have 2 other thoughts about this trade in general.
Sure.
First is, did Sam Presti not think that he was going to be able to, he thought he was going to be able to, he had to have thought that he was able to move that Chris Paul contract. And now it's looking like maybe he can't move that contract. So I'm how do you make that trade for a Westbrook? You get back, whatever picks, but you're taking back a worse contract. I thought for sure that he was I have some move, or I'm going to flip him to Miami, or I'm going to flip him to Minnesota or something.
That was going to happen immediately. That he was immediately going to flip it to Miami or whatever.
And that still might happen.
My secret belief is that I think they are kind of preparing for battle, in that I think they're we'll trade you if we can, but also you're a bit of a carcass to us. And I think that that's not going to go well, publicity wise, but I think there's a part of OKC where they're we felt we owed this to Russ. We don't feel like we owe anything to you.
Right.
So you can play and play well, but also if no one wants your extremely bloated contract, because his contract goes till he's 36 or 37.
It's a very bad contract.
It's really bad.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think that they're treating him as that. I don't think Presti's doing that because he just hasn't done that for, he could have done that to Paul George. He could have been
totally,
Paul George, we signed you for, 3
I thought he should have, kind of.
Yeah, you're here, bud.
Yeah.
But he wants to get off all of these contracts and he wants all these picks. So I don't see him playing, all of a sudden going and I'm going to really turn the screws on, on Chris Paul.
I'm saying, I think they kind of calculated hey, we'll try and move Chris. But, we might have to make him hang out here for 5 months until there's some really desperate team at the deadline. Because, some team, they might tell Chris, you got to wait till a point guard gets injured.
Yeah, that could very well happen.
And that's what's up.
And that will happen, and someone will be able to trade for him at some point.
Yeah.
But I'm just surprised that didn't happen sooner. And then if you're asking about winners and losers, the big loser in this trade is me. Because I do not like watching the Houston Rockets play basketball in any capacity. And I do not like watching Russell Westbrook play basketball in any capacity, too. That's not a super popular opinion. But now, I don't like this high usage, ball dominant guard stuff. And now they have 2 of them on the same team.
Yeah.
I found the Rockets, their style of basketball is unwatchable.
Yeah, are you on that camp? See, it doesn't bother me, but I get it.
Hate it. Like hell to me would be watching a meaningful fourth quarter of the Houston Rockets with James Harden pounding the ball into the ground 76 times before he just pulls up from three. Like, oh my God, I hate it. And now they're adding like another player. Like, I don't think these players are bad by any means. Like, that's not.
No, they're incredible players. But no, I'm with you. Yeah,
Russell Westbrook is an incredible player, but I just don't want to watch him.
Is there any type of? Sorry, what were you going to say, Paul?
Oh, I was just gonna. This is a game of competitive agreement. I'm with Brendan in terms of watching the Rockets. It's just unbearable. And a friend of mine said that James Harden. It looks like he's figured out some sort of glitch in the game, and that's how he plays in terms of taking the ball at the 3-point line and then either drawing a foul there or drawing a foul under the basket or driving to the basket, and it's just over and over again the same thing.
I like it from I kind of like I like when something gets like played out to its logical conclusion. Like there's I think it's on Netflix, but it's like I think it's like Losers. It's a sports documentary, and there's this like Canadian curler who kind of like breaks all the curling rules by just clearing the other rock every time. And I'm not going to give a curling rundown. You can Google it if you don't know.
Save it for your other curling.
Yeah, I'll save it for the curling pod. But like, and everyone's just like, why are you doing this? Like, you're ruining curling. And this guy's just like, I want to win. Isn't it about winning? And everyone's like, yeah, but you're a maniac and you're pissing us all off. And like, I kind of like because like, James Harden with the sidestep, it's like, man, I've played basketball my whole life and that just really looks like a travel. And, I think,
right.
And the foul baiting as well is a whole part of it as well. And I feel like, when the NBA is forced to address something stylistically or they're just going to take 50% of their shots from three. Like I feel like as frustrating as that is, there's a part of me where I'm like, if it's about winning and you think that's the path, it's almost like the process in Philly. I think that was frustrating in a way too, where it was like, hey, this is not like sports. You're not like supposed to be bad for 3 straight years. And if you like start to marginally get good, trade that good player. Like what Philly did was pretty insane. And sorry, I heard this on the Raptors Republic podcast, but apparently the Heat in Summer League was playing Team China, and they were up 55 points. And with like in the last like 5 minutes or whatever, China started fouling. Like they'd foul every possession and they were down 55 and they kept like calling timeouts and like running plays and the whole like Vegas crowd was booing them. And like, again, like I totally understand why someone would boo, but there's also just a part of me that finds it hilarious. Anyways,
right.
That's my 2 cents, but I feel like you guys are correct.
So for you, James Harden is the Chinese national basketball team.
Kind of. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's
like one-man Chinese team.
Yeah. That's not that far off. I guess I should ask this. I feel like Brendan touched on this with their usage and stuff. But Paul, do you think that I'm a D'Antoni fan. I think that he's coached some interesting styles over the years and had some failures too in New York and LA. But do you think he can find something productive with Russ and with James?
Well, I mean, they're 2 super talented players, and they play. They're athletic, and they are, they could fit into that system really, really well. And if it's going to be anybody, I think it'll be D'Antoni. I always feel like, and this is kind of a tired opinion, but he was like ahead of his time with the Suns and stuff like that. I mean, look, when you have those 2 scoring options, I wonder if he's looking at this and being like, all right, this is it. Like, I can finally score 160 points a game.
Right.
I mean, this is finally it. Or if he's looking at it and being like, okay, these 2 are as, ball dominant players. There's going to be a hard time sort of sharing time time on the court. I mean, it'll be really interesting to see, but I have faith in D'Antoni.
It's funny you say that. Like, can we just score 150 points? Because he was on the Adrian Wojnarowski pod, I think like 2 days ago, and he was saying that like Woj was kind of like fishing around for like those questions that are kind of like they slant towards like they all end up being what's your biggest regret, and the person who's being interviewed is kind of like I enjoy my life. So like, you keep needling me towards being like, saying like, oh yeah, I cried for 2 months after we lost to Golden State. And D'Antoni's like, it seemed like he was a bit too happy for that. But he did say that with the 7 seconds or less Suns, if he knew what he knew now, he would have been like, made sure Steve Nash shot 30 shots a game, shot way more threes, and just like leaned all the way. He said particularly against San Antonio, he wouldn't have tried to match up with them big because they just couldn't stop Duncan. Like they would have had to. He said he wish he tried small ball basically. And I found, anyways, yeah, I was just thinking that when you were saying Russ and Harden being able to just like light it up and who knows, maybe he just like is like I'm done with defense. Sorry.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe he's like finally I can execute the final the ultimate vision of my plan and just, but it'll be interesting to see, considering that both of them have their own style of play, which may be counter to one another.
Cool. Brenda, you got anything else on the Russ CP3 trade or?
No, I hate it.
Oh,
never want to talk about it again in my life.
Shit, this guy's cool, man. He's skateboarding around Matt's house.
Yeah. Just flicking cigarettes, going like, get out of here, man.
You're Bart Simpson who smokes.
Yeah, I'm Bart Simpson who smokes for sure.
Okay, let's go to you, Paul. Here's how I want to do this one. I feel like it's a bit of an NBA jam year. Did this year in the NBA, it doesn't seem like there's a true big three, and there's just like every team really, besides like the Raptors and a bunch of other teams, has a big two, has an NBA Jam style duo. So I want to see if we can kind of pick out our top five, and we'll do it as a shared experiment. So. Let's each pick one and then we'll move on and then we'll assign that as our top five. So Paul, let's start with you. What is an NBA duo that is going to be in the top five for sure? So you pick one, and if we all disagree, then screw you, I guess.
So are you suggesting that that the Spicy P McCaw big two is not going to happen? Are you suggesting that?
Wow,
okay.
hurting McCaw's feelings. It would be Spicy P Kyle, I think.
No, of course. No, look, I really want to see LeBron and Anthony Davis playing with each other like that. That is. That when you talk about NBA Jam, that feels like there was, you're able to edit the roster, you know what I mean, and stick those two together and just sort of see how they look together. And this is coming off of the season where LeBron played fewer games than he's ever played before, and coming off the most theoretically, at least the most rest. I mean, I'm sure that Space Jam 2 is going to be very taxing.
Yeah, for sure. He'll film it in Toronto and get a lot of taxes off. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Well, I mean, changing directors is always very difficult. But no, those two. This may be an obvious answer, but I really want to see those guys play together.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think Brendan, you have any objections? Like, they're for sure in mine.
Oh, for sure.
David, if there's so that's one, that's an easy one. I think actually that for me is the easiest.
I think the easiest one is Chris Paul and Russell Westbrook. They're great. I love them. No, I'm joking. No, to me, it's Kawhi and Paul George. 100% is the most probably the most potent combo.
Yes.
And
Good. Yeah, yeah, sorry.
And
I'll
has
let you go.
the probably the better surrounding cast. Well, like I don't think it's definitely they have a better surrounding cast than like the Lakers. That one's like kind of the most interesting. Like, the LeBron one is like for sure it's in top 5. Like obviously.
Yeah.
And it's super interesting just because like LA is such a disaster all the time.
Yes.
Like from an organizational standpoint that you're like, man, I really want to see how this team comes together. But like, I think the big two is Paul George and Kawhi.
Paul George, yeah. They would be on my list for sure. And I feel like it's almost going to be like the kind of like the super over the top duo is LeBron and AD, and then the Paul George. Yeah, I think you nailed it with potent because it's kind of like those are the two players where you're like, man, your insane levels of talent are kind of like on the defensive end, and your offense, although it's amazing, it's not like Paul George leads the league in points or Kawhi leads the league in points. And I think they both average like 3 or 4 assists a game and, not over 10 rebounds where the stats with LeBron and AD are explosive. But those two on the wing are just going to be like the same kind of like perfect tradable guys.
Yeah. No, it feels like the Lakers duo is like a network sitcom, but like the Clippers duo is like a prestige drama.
Oh wow, I like that.
Yeah, it's Chernobyl. It's
Homeland.
Chernobyl. Okay, we've gone a month straight with a Chernobyl reference.
It's true.
It was a terrifying show.
It's terrifying.
Reactor 4.
I don't know why, but that's our Chernobyl sound effect.
It really is actually scary because it goes in like one ear at a time.
The other, just like radiation.
Okay, Paul, were you going to say something before I drop my duo here?
Oh, I think I was going to say something about Reactor 4 in Chernobyl. But the thing with Paul George and Kawhi, I don't know who matches up with them defensively. Like, there's just nobody. Like that. That's just like a super team on the defensive end. But Paul George, I believe, has 2 entirely new shoulders, I think. So,
yeah, he's missing the first month of the season, apparently.
Yeah, so I mean that's a question mark, and it remains to be seen whether or not Kawhi's magical season was an aberration or not. I mean, I do think that he has sort of grown into one of the top 2 or 3 best players in the league. I mean, certainly, but whether or not he'd been plagued by some issues before. So that's all. That's the only question mark there. What if they both find themselves hurt?
Okay, so for my pick, and I should say I didn't really give you guys an outline here, but I'm thinking about it in terms of next year. So, for instance, Durant and Kyrie is not in my top 5 because I just don't think that we're going to see Durant on the court next year.
I think I was gonna throw it into my top 5. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That was gonna be my sneaky pick because I think
if he does come back,
I think he's coming back.
That would be. I mean, I hope he does.
Based on absolutely nothing, just based on a gut feeling, like that dude will be back for the playoffs.
I friggin' hope so, man. It would be I hope for all health all the time. But yeah, so I feel like it's definitely a notch down from those next 2 duos, and I was trying to get clever with this. But I think it's Simmons Embiid because I think Embiid is going to take, another significant step. And I think Simmons is kind of in this weird mode of starting to get underrated because he can't shoot and, has some pretty glaring flaws in his game. But I think his pluses are still high enough that, I think they're a duo that has to be in the top 5. I'm sure there's more clever duos. But yeah, I'll save that for you guys. So I guess I should ask. This might be the territory where we start to disagree. Is Simmons and Embiid not in either of your guys?
Not in mine.
Not in yours. Okay.
No. I'm not in on Simmons.
That's fair. Yeah, Simmons, part of it is a leap of faith because I think he's going to get better, and I think that there's going to be a way to mitigate his shooting And I also feel like Butler wasn't a very good 3-point shooter. And now the three people he's going to be playing with on a regular basis, Horford, Harris, and Richardson, can all shoot the three. But yeah, anyhow. So who's your next guys, Brendan?
Oh, my next guys. You know what I'm interested in is whether or not like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown can become a duo that kind of you felt like they were going to maybe become 2 seasons ago.
Right.
Now that the temperamental Kyrie Irving is out of there, and who's obviously like killing those dudes' will to live.
Yeah.
I would be curious to see if them or one of them and like Kemba Walker.
Yeah, because I was going to say Kemba's probably going to have a better year than either of them next year.
Probably, right? But just like just thinking of like there's something in that threesome right there, which I feel like could be. I'm sure there are more obvious duos, but like that one to me is the least interesting because like these two guys seemed very promising and now and then had kind of a rough year, but led the team to the Eastern Conference Finals the year before that. So
yeah, that's fair. Paul, who's the fifth spot here? I'm sure that we'll mention a couple others, but like who have we not mentioned? So if we're all picking this, it's the LA squads. I picked the Philly duo, and Brendan just picked. Why am I blanking out?
I picked the Boston Triumvirate.
Picked the Boston Triumvirate, which is interesting. But yeah,
that hurts you a little bit.
Yeah, anytime there's compliments towards Boston, it cuts me a little bit. That's
you guys
okay.
haven't mentioned Dallas yet.
Porzingis, Doncic. Yeah, that could be something.
I love Doncic.
Don't forget
I love Doncic too. You said DeLon? Oh, yeah, don't forget DeLon. Paul, who are we missing? Who's the obvious guys?
Well, I don't know if there's anybody obvious. I mean, I like the Jazz. Like Gobert Mitchell. Is
it Gobert Mitchell or Gobert Conley?
Conley. See, that's the thing. Like they could go. They can go anywhere. I really like Mitchell. Has anybody mentioned Harden and Westbrook? I mean,
Harden and Westbrook, they have to be in there, right?
Yeah, they're in the conversation for sure.
Dame and CJ. I think Dame and CJ as well, right?
Right. Of course. Yeah. Right. We just described how aesthetically offensive the Rockets are, but I mean, you have to put Harden and Westbrook now in that.
They're like the last 3 years. They're the last 4 years, Harden's been runner-up for MVP 3 times and won the MVP once, and Russell Westbrook 3 years ago won the MVP. So, pretty serious. So, 2 MVPs playing together, both under 30, I think, or right at 30.
I think they're around there. Yeah.
And then Jokic, Murray, but I think Murray's just a category below being a significant duo member.
Yeah,
they have great chemistry.
I have such a blind spot for like teams like Denver, where I'm just like, I don't really watch enough Denver to really know that I'm going to go like this duo is sick. Yeah.
Jokic is like a legit top 10, but I just don't know that Murray is significant enough.
And Blazers too, like Lillard and McCollum. Maybe. Nurkic will come back next year, I think, right?
I think so. He's another guy where I'm like, oh God. I mean, I never watched his injury, but just hoping for the best, because gruesome basketball injuries is got to be the most awful thing in basketball. Wait, who's your last duo, Paul?
I was going to get. I was also going to get cute with KD and Kyrie. Nice. I was like that in the final months of the season that he was going to make a triumphant return. Or speaking of triumphant returns, Klay Thompson. I mean,
right.
That's so obvious. I can't believe we didn't even think about it.
Yeah, well,
I don't know what his timeline is, but Steph and Klay are still like the number 1 and number 2 best shooters in the league.
I was actually gonna instead of saying Philly, because I knew I only had 1 pick, I was actually gonna say Steph and Draymond, because I think the way they work together, you want to talk about potent. That's still pretty, that's the lead defensive player and the lead offensive player. Like, I think Steph has a chance to lead the league in scoring, and Draymond has a chance to be the best defensive player in the league next year. I mean, I think Draymond's chance is kind of dwindling, but it's a pretty significant pairing.
I think what this exercise does, it just shows you how many teams you can talk yourself into.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was trying to do. And it's the year of like parity. It's awesome. And okay, that's going to lead us to our last question. Brendan, I'll start with you on this one. So League of Parity, Golden State, small ball, or, smart ball, or three ball, or, whatever way anyone wants to describe it, positionless basketball, was mostly predicated on the fact that Curry and Clay formed this special duo that could shoot threes so well, such a high percentage from such a far distance that it changed the league. Durant's gone, and Iguodala's gone, and it just seems like Golden State's dominant reign is over. And I'm wondering if that's also going to be stylistic. Like, there's not a lot of teams that can put out 5 shooters anymore. So do you think there's going to be a change in style, or is there something that you're looking at that might be the new dominant style?
I don't know if there's going to be a new dominant style. Like, something will emerge. I'm not a huge X's and O's kind of guy.
Yeah.
But I will say that I really hope that the mid-range game makes a little bit of a return.
It might. It might.
I think it might, because Kawhi Leonard is kind of like a complete package and really gets a lot of his points in that mid-range game.
For sure.
And I think that the Clippers are probably going to be one of the best teams in the league next year. And so I'm hoping that I'm just like, it's just kind of a bummer to watch all of these 3-pointers get chucked up so consistently. Right. Like, it's kind of, I just kind of miss players who can go in, make a quick move, and score 2 points.
Right.
I'm really hoping that in some capacity that the mid-range game can come back.
Well, yeah, I think with
DeMar DeRozan is really hoping that the mid-range game can come back.
Oh, and Aldridge, man. Totally. Yeah. The Spurs are like, what are you saying, Brendan?
Yeah. Wait, is this back?
Yeah, the Spurs just got like a Google alert.
Yeah. But like the dunks and threes thing is like, it was cool for a couple of years, and like, it was really fun watching Golden State play.
I also think
still is fun watching those guys play, but like, I really just want to see I want to see the all-around game.
I think defenses are also adapting. And more players like, Jokic are coming in, or Embiid, and they're just going to shift the game in different ways. Like I was watching highlights earlier today of the Philly series with Toronto, and there was moments in that series where it seemed like Embiid was better than Kawhi, and as insane as that is to say, he just is so large and affects the game. And he could score like 9 points and go like 3 for 20 and still have like a plus 42 in a game. Like, he just, and he was able to guard Siakam. So he's fast enough and big enough. And I think the more of those type of kind of like undeniable players there are, the more Giannis is. Like, Giannis is basically like this era Shaq. And who knows, maybe he develops a 3, or maybe he's like Kawhi's, he'll think about Kawhi like LeBron. He's like, if Kawhi's not there, I'm going to win, Paul, do you have any opinions about like the style of the NBA?
Well, similarly, I'd like to see the mid-range game make a little bit of a return. And I think that the true centers are more or less gone, like the
post-up guys,
the big men. Yeah. However, I think that there's kind of a middle ground that a lot of the best players that you guys just mentioned fall under, Giannis and even KD and stuff like that. You can't teach tall, as the old cliche says. So, I mean, like tall guys who are now adapting their game to play further up from the basket, but who can also protect the rim. I would love to see a return to that a little bit more under the basket. The post up stuff. I do think that's the future. Who mentioned Embiid? Like, Embiid is sort of an example of that. So yeah, I mean, I think that. So in other words, it's going to be the year of Taco Fall. I mean, that's what that.
Yeah, Taco Fall is coming back. There, in Summer League there was quite a few. Like, there were some 7-footers And again, like, yeah, you can't teach tall. Like these guys are huge. Taco Fall, one of the announcers was like, "Oh, he can dunk on his tippy toes," and then the other announcer was like, "He can pin a shot off the backboard on his tippy toes," which is another way to think of it. Like Boucher's length, even like Boucher's 6'11",
Right, yeah, Boucher, yeah.
He is long, man. Like he can block you from very far away. I do think you guys are right, and that the new style is going to be like whatever Bruno Caboclo does. Like I think like the more fadeaways.
He is going to. We should have included him in our top duo. It's just Bruno and Bruno.
Yeah.
Playing with himself. Oh my God.
Yeah, Bruno staring at the mirror is the top duo, I think, next year. All right, I think that's it for the NBA stuff. But you guys want to add anything before we finish it off with quickish questions?
Well, I'll say that Muppets Take Manhattan has finished, and Kermit and Piggy have married each other. So I'm on borrowed time right now.
Okay, fair enough. Well, hey, it's quickish questions. So if you gotta, if a question's too hard and we just lose you, or your kid is on the move and you gotta go, and
Also, spoiler alert on Muppets Take Manhattan. So they get married at the end. That's a spoiler.
Oh,
did they take Manhattan in the end?
Yeah, like how do they take it?
I'll leave that. I'll leave that up to you. It's on Netflix if you want to watch that.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you know what?
If you want to binge that, I'll leave that up to you if they take it.
Paul's right, and we are operating on borrowed time here. So, Matt, would you give me that quickish question sting?
Quickish questions.
Okay.
We did not have time for that sting.
Oh, I know.
What part of borrowed time did you not understand?
Paul, we're on borrowed time. Maddie, would you hit that sting? No.
Let's play that 3-minute song.
Yeah. Let's do the extendo sting. Okay, I'm gonna try and get through these questions while making some sense. Your guys' job is to answer as quick as you can. Don't phone a friend. No commas in your answers. Okay, here we go.
Oh my God.
Brendan.
Yeah.
Is this current Raptors roster better or worse than the final DeRozan Casey year?
This roster is better.
Matt. Who's the most likely Raptor to get traded before the end of the season?
I'm going to say Ibaka.
Paul. What's your favorite Phil Handy moment?
My favorite Phil Handy moment?
That's right. Do you know Phil Handy?
I do know Phil Handy. I'm trying to. He's gone, right?
He's gone.
I'm going to say him leaving because I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
I can't think of any other moments at the moment. That's the only news I know is that he's leaving.
Okay, that's fair. Hey, listen, it's quickish questions. Brendan, who will have a better career, Chris Boucher or Brandon Ingram?
Brandon Ingram. I think he's probably already had a better career.
Yes. I like the optimism there, though. Matt, the Raptors will score how many points per game this year?
I'm going to say 97.
97? Yikes! Okay,
Is that low?
Extremely low. Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Probably worse than the league.
That's a reasonable figure.
Hey, you said it. Can't take it back. Paul, the Raptors will give up blank points per game this season.
I have to say 97.
Thank you. Yeah, let's even it out a bit here. Brendan.
Yeah.
Which Raptors will be participating in All-Star Weekend this season? Not limited to just the main game. Could be skills, comp, rising stars, etc.
Pascal Siakam and Kyle Lowry.
Okay, Matt.
Oh, Boucher Rising Stars. Sure, why not? Let's give it to him. We've given a lot of Boucher love on here, so let's Rising Stars game.
This is the Boucher app.
Yes.
Matt.
Yeah.
What's next for Bruno Caboclo now that he's both a G League champion and a Summer League champion?
Oh, wow. Is he on a team still?
Yeah, Memphis.
He's on Memphis? I think he's, gonna just kind of fly under the radar there. I don't think
Okay, what's next for him? Nothing. Paul, which of our new acquisitions will have the best year?
I mean, this is the Boucher hour, so I need to. Oh no, you're talking about the
Yeah, like Hollis Jefferson and Johnson.
Hernandez.
I'm gonna say Jefferson's gonna have the best year. In so much he's gonna prove himself to be a piece to get moved.
All right. Brendan, who is in the Western Conference finals?
It will be the Clippers of Los Angeles versus the Utah Jazz.
Ooh.
Wow.
Matt, who's going to be in the Eastern Conference finals?
East Finals is going to be,
Quickish question.
Philly versus Boston.
How dare you? Okay, Paul. The Raps' regular season record will be.
Oh, I thought there was more of that.
Nope.
The Raps.
How many wins? Sorry, that's on me.
I think we're looking at a 50-win season.
I love it. Brendan, does Kawhi get his jersey retired in the Raptors in the Raptor Rafters?
No, he won't. He won a championship here, but he was not here for long enough to be like, hey, this is the first jersey we're going to retire. Like, no,
right?
There's no chance.
It'd be weird.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Matt,
yes.
What teams will decide during this season to blow it up? Or just give me one team that's going to decide mid-year to say,
mid-year to blow it up.
Yep.
Geez, I feel like they've already blown it up, but I think Phoenix. Have they already blown it up?
Yeah, they've already blown it up.
Yeah. So let's go with something a little tastier. The Spurs.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay, I love it. Paul, what's a team that's going to come out of nowhere this year?
That's going to come out of nowhere. I mean, can Denver come out of nowhere, or does that count as nowhere? I think Denver
they've arrived.
Really good. Okay, all right. So next, I'm going to say the Atlanta Hawks.
Ooh, Atlanta Hawks.
I put it down. Atlanta Hawks.
Holy. Okay, Brendan, do you think there's a sleeper team in the East that's going to go further than expected next season, similar to how the Bucks did this year?
Yes, the Brooklyn Nets, because
KD.
Durant's coming back, and everyone thinks that they're going to be like a 5 or 6 seed, and that they're going to come back, and they will be in the Eastern.
If
Conference
Durant's in the Eastern Conference playoffs, it's going to be bonkers. Matt, will Kyrie wreck the Nets' chemistry before Durant gets to play a single game?
No.
Okay. 2 more questions. Paul, what's a crazy lineup you could see Nurse rolling out a bunch next year?
Crazy lineup. We've got your McCaw. We've got your Bruno. We've got your
Bruno.
Oh no, sorry, not Bruno. It's OG.
So McCaw OG, no dribbling so far. Go ahead.
Yeah, none whatsoever. Is Jeremy Lin still on the team? Jeremy Lin is not still on the team. No. So then it's Kyle and Gasol.
Okay, you need a 5th.
Isn't that 5?
Kyle, Gasol, OG, and McCaw. Who's your other guy?
Kyle Gasol, OG, McCaw, and a returning Andre Bargnani coming out of the
Okay, I like it.
or wherever he is. I don't know.
How dare you mention Bargnani's name on this pod? Just kidding. Okay, last question. Brendan, have we seen the last of Box Plus One, the zone that's from high school that we played against Steph Curry?
Absolutely not. Nick Nurse will use any weapon at his disposal.
Ooh, yes, he will.
If he deems it to be necessary next season, then absolutely we will see it come back.
I love it. Ruthless.
Yeah.
Nurse is ruthless.
He doesn't care. He doesn't care if you're making fun of him. He's out here winning championships.
Woo! That's right. Don't you forget. We're all champions, okay? That's the pod. Thanks for doing it, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'll speak on behalf of me. And
please,
Paul.
yeah.
Thank you for having the two of us.
Thank you very much.
Paul, I know you probably have to go any second. So is there anything you want to plug? Anything you got going on? We'll make sure to put your social media stuff up on the website.
Paul Daniel Beer on Twitter. If you see me around, just say hi. Just say hi. I always appreciate that.
So plug in public hello. Okay.
Yeah, like FaceTime. I'm plugging actual FaceTime.
Okay. You hear that, folks? Paul needs friends. Just kidding. Brendo, what's up?
Just Sports Center with Jay and Dan. It's on TSN every single Sunday through Thursday at midnight, and then we loop all morning. If you have traditional cable, which most people do not have anymore.
Some people do, baby. Woo!
But then check out our social media if you want. Jay and Dan. That's where we post everything that was any good on the show. So
cool. And we mentioned it earlier, so I feel like I got to follow up. But you are doing Weird Al karaoke at Just for Laughs.
Yeah, Just for Laughs next Monday night. You guys are the night after us, right? Rap Battles?
So yeah, my show Rap Battles is doing the Tuesday night and Wednesday night at Just for Laughs. So if you're in Montreal, come check it out. There's a preposterous amount of good comedians. It's gonna be fun.
Yep. So Monday night Weird Al karaoke, Tuesday night, Wednesday night Rap Battles. Check it out. Come to Montreal. We'll have some smoked meat poutine. It'll be great.
Oh yes, we will have some smoked meat poutine. La Belle Province, I'm coming for you. Jean Talon Market, I'm also coming for you. Okay, Maddie, thanks. Thanks for listening, everyone. And, rate, subscribe, help us in any way. Give us a gift, if you don't mind. Okay, thanks.
There it is.
It's the Confederacy of Dunks Basketball Podcast.